Hey family, Sean Harness jumping in for another video. Today the topic is about business. So Bed Bath & Beyond, Neiman Marcus, just a couple of companies that just recently or not too long ago filed for bankruptcy, right? You're also seeing in this climate a lot of companies actually laying a lot of people off. What is that all about, right? It's the ebb and flow of a business doing well or doing not so well. And there's a lot of companies that are doing not so well right now. The name of the game is to adapt. How do you adapt? That's what today's conversation is about. So a lot of you know, I do a lot of consulting with a lot of large companies, also a lot of consulting firms. And these are some of the skills that I talk to them about as it relates to adapting. So whether you have a large business or a small business, doesn't matter. Even if you're thinking about getting into business, this video is for you. Stay tuned. What's going on, y'all? Hey, it's been a minute, but we jumping back in. And so conversation today is about business. So I'll talk to you guys about adapting, right? And so as we get into the whole conversation of adapting, a couple of things come to mind. The first one being that, and I've learned this in corporate America, we need to learn how to put the customer in the center of everything that we do. So if you're selling anything, a product or service, you need to think of your customer first, because I mean, at the end of the day, that's who's gonna drive revenue to your business. So let me give you an example. When I thought about the customer experience or putting the customer in the center, it made me think about Chick-fil-A, because quite frankly, I don't eat fast food, right? But if I do, wait, is Chick-fil-A is that considered fast food? When it comes to Chick-fil-A, I think about Chick-fil-A mainly because the whole experience is phenomenal. I mean, from the point where I step up to, or I should say drive up to, drive through. If it's crowded, a couple of things that are my takeaways. I'm gonna get out really fast, even if it's crowded. They hardly ever get my order wrong. From a technology perspective, I could honestly order my everything before I get there. Everything is gonna be seamless. And then some of the other things is that they're actually gonna be polite. Most of the people are nice. I haven't really ever had a bad experience ordering something from Chick-fil-A. Even if the food is mediocre, really doesn't matter, because the whole experience is it's top tier, it's top notch. They're not trying to hassle me to pay 25 cents to get extra Chick-fil-A sauce or this and that. I think about, say, your business, whether it's a really, really large business, or even if it's a small business, some of the things that I like to tell a lot of my clients that I work with is that, one, really understand a way that you can use technology at the best of its ability, meaning to be more organized, to be polite, to be memorable in that way from a technology perspective. Really, the whole idea is to map the customer experience out from start to finish. Right, so you can do this on your own if you're a strategist or if you have that strategy brain. Or another idea is something I've done before with some of my clients is I've taken a small focus group, meaning if I'm thinking of the types of people who would specifically patronize my product or service, I may get them together in a group, put a bunch of questions together and really just ask them those questions. What makes you patronize this business more? What did you like the least? What would you pay? What would you not pay? How often would you patronize this business? Those are a couple of questions that specifically you may ask in a focus group. And then you might actually pay this focus group. So you might set aside some money. So if you have that marketing budget, you might set aside some money for that focus group just to learn a little bit more about your business. But now you're getting real-time information. And the last thing is to think about making a signature something. A lot of companies who do this well, they have a signature something, like Starbucks. I mean, they write your name on your cup. That's kind of like their signature something. They ask you your name, they ask you how to spell it, they try to write it really nice and really nice and really, pleasant on the cup. And that's just something that they have. But I really am big on having a signature something good that allows a lot of these people who patronize your business or your customer, again, that's putting them back at the center. That's gonna make your company memorable. So another idea is to think about how your business is priced. And notice I didn't say how much it costs. First and foremost, y'all, I know a lot of y'all you may or may not know this, but there is a difference between a cost and a price. So I'm gonna give you an example. If I am selling, let's say, pencils, if I think about the cost for that pencil, if I think about the cost for that pencil, this is what we're talking about. I'm talking about the wood, I'm talking about the eraser, I'm talking about maybe the metal components it takes for me to make one pencil. Maybe let's say it costs 50 cents. I don't know, I'm over exaggerating, right? But let's say it costs 50 cents. The price is actually what I'm going to sell that pencil for. So I'm not gonna sell the pencil for 50 cents. I've got to sell it for more than 50 cents. Because if I just sell it at 50 cents, that's how much it costs to make it. So if I sell it at 50 cents, I'm not really making any money. So what I need to do is I need to increase my price. The takeaway from this is that if it costs me 50 cents to make that pencil, I'm not gonna sell it for 40 cents because I'm gonna lose 10 cents. I'll say a question that I get the most from a lot of small businesses, okay, if I'm going to sell a product or service, what do I charge for it? And that's a valid question, meaning what do I price it at? And there is a more elaborate way that you do this calculation, but if I'm answering it with the Cliff Notes version, like the quick version, really you need to understand what your cost is. Another thing that's very much underrated is that it's a good practice to really research your competitors. And when I say competitors, it's anyone who's doing something similar to you, right? That is in your arena. So let's say you're a caterer, as an example, right? Okay, you have someone else who's a caterer too. Their food is good, so is yours. Both of you guys cater at different businesses or you cater at different organizations and you do very well. But what is it that you might do differently than this caterer does? So maybe you also put on cooking classes, right? So you're not gonna give everyone your game of how you make your food the best, but maybe you're just getting some novice or some beginner cookers. Maybe you're getting them started. Maybe you're selling cookware. Maybe you're selling seasoning. Maybe you're selling a grill or cook utensils. Differentiation, that's your competitive advantage. Another one I feel like that's very important is to stick to your values. We'll notice a couple of things right now in the marketplace for business or on the internet is that one, there are a lot of people who they'll go away from their values just to make money. Now granted, maybe some people think that's the best thing to do. Personally, I don't believe in that. I believe in sticking to my values. I believe in having ethics. I believe in being a nice guy. I believe in being a gentleman. I mean, being a child of God. Like, those are things that are important to me. So I'm not gonna do something that deviates from those values. The other piece is that it's okay to do more good in the world. And when I say that, there are statistics that state that if you are a business who does more for charity, if you're giving more money away for charity to nonprofits, to the youth, if you're doing more programs with the youth, showing and also really recording that and showing that you're doing this and you're doing it from the bottom of your heart and you mean it, right? A lot of people who see that, there are statistics that say more people want to tend to essentially patronize that business more than others. I mean, recycling, even just recycling, right? Being good to the environment, being good to the world. Those are elements and those are things that honestly will give you a leg up, I promise. I mean, because you guys know there's so much bad happening in the world right now. There's scammers all over the place just trying to get you, even doing business with you. There's people that will really just take your money and not perform and not do the thing that they say they're gonna do that's written down in the contract. I mean, look, being good and sticking to your values, it will take you far right now in this climate. And lastly, it's also about differentiating your revenue streams. So I'm gonna go back to the whole example of being a caterer. If you're a caterer, right, and you sell food, and I will call a catering business more of a lifestyle type business because, and let me back up, lifestyle versus high growth. You know, high growth businesses, I'm getting ready to make millions of dollars. Now, not to say you can't do that with a catering business, but I'm gonna put it more in the lifestyle business. This is more of a This is what people like. Maybe I'm making or breaking maybe like $50,000, maybe $100,000 per year, which is still very good. But in that regard, right, I talked about adaptability in the very beginning part of this conversation. And when we talk about adaptability, catering food and just going to sell food, it's gonna help you do well. But here's what's gonna really take it up some notches. It's really differentiating how you make your money. So, example, I know a company back in Detroit. That's where I'm from, right? A lot of you guys know that I'm from Detroit. There's a company in Detroit, it's a restaurant. And so they sell pizza. Not only do they sell pizza, they also rent their space out. So they make money renting their space out. They also do contracting with the city. So they give school lunches to some of the schools, and they do that with some other larger organizations in the city. So they partner with the city and make money doing that. So I kind of mentioned 3 ways that they make money. And so if I'm thinking about other ways, if we're talking about differentiating, a couple other things that they could do, they could probably have cooking classes. So teach you how to make pizza, right? And so pizza is not really a totally, very difficult thing to make, but if you're doing it the right way, maybe you're showing people how to start with the dough and, add the cheese and add the sauce and what kind of sauce for this type of pizza and how long, how do you handle it? Things of that nature. Like, you don't have to give people your secret formula, but maybe you're teaching them how to do something. That also makes money. A course, maybe a digital course. So that's in person, but maybe they're doing a digital course. Maybe they're doing something digital. So maybe they do something, they record it, they show people how to do it. Maybe it's about catering or cooking. You know what I mean? And so they push that out on a digital platform. Those are a couple of other ways that they could essentially make money. They could also hold events there. So they rent the space out, right, for people to, let's say, have their parties or have baby shower or whatever it is, but maybe they're holding a place there where they're having actual events. So maybe they're having concerts there, a poetry slam there. Because the more you differentiate, and people who work in finance, they know this, the more you differentiate your revenue streams, this is really gonna allow you to take your revenue up. And although there are gonna be varying types of revenue or amounts of revenue, everything is not gonna be a pool of cash coming in. Maybe you have one that's big, one that's medium, one that's small of that revenue coming in, but you can consistently reduce your risk by differentiating your revenue streams. So, hey look, thanks for joining me today. If you found value in this video, hit that like button. Also hit the subscribe button. Peace, and I appreciate y'all. We out.